So we join back in for part 2 as our group last week had managed to fight back the quasits and strange thread-like creature that were assailing Dante or Tenebris in Dante form. And as they finally released that last bit of energy from the altar, magical words echoed through the altar, suggesting that they take a seat and wait until he's done with what he needs to do. As Volu resists and fires back with a gust spell, Eleni and Ichi feel like sitting would be a good option, actually. They are quite tired, and they begin to sit down.
Yeah, I would just fold my legs and sink to the floor.
Tenebris slides back in the gust. It would be you that resists. Now I know, little halfling, we could go back and forth toe to toe, but I really don't want to see or force Dante to see another one of his friends die. For a moment, his face flicks, and you see the pained face of Dante as just run, and then it flicks back. They will start walking, and we are going to drop out of initiative until you say we want to bring us back into initiative. But they walk up to the now lifeless body of the like thread-like creature and sort of drag it over and just sort of start making incisions and pulling it apart and looking through it. What are you doing, Bolo, as this goes on? They like completely just turn and begin to ignore you.
I'll turn towards Eleni and send some to. Is she actually close enough? Because I've got 6.
30 feet. You are within range.
Just. I'll turn to. I'm like, what are you doing? Is there any reaction?
I would look up at you and I'd say, I'm just waiting for him to finish what he's doing.
Give me an Arcana as she responds.
Move dice, move. Fuck's sake. 2.
The dice really
Okay, so you know of suggestion, but you also know that that's limited to one person. And as you look back at Ichi, who's also sat crisscross applesauce on the floor, this seems like it affected more than that. You would also know, so you know that suggestion can't be used to make them do harmful things. But also you know that besides breaking his concentration, you can't just damage them. So you would have to actively make him lose concentration to get them out of this.
Okay.
I do find it interesting that you're the only one that managed to resist. He's still just...
Yeah.
How is Tenebori these days? I've not seen them in a century or two, and they just keep rummaging.
At that point, I would instantly cast Toll the Dead at him.
Oh, okay. Wisdom save.
Bringing up that name.
Okay, so we're back into initiative, but you are on the higher foot, so it's a whiz save from them, I believe.
I would say from them, sorry, yeah.
Okay, only a 10. They definitely were not expecting that.
Yeah.
So roll your damage. And they are already damaged, so it is D12s.
Yep. 19 points of damage.
Nice.
Big damage. Okay.
That should be enough to break concentration, right?
Well, it's a roll for him to see whether he can hold concentration. So unfortunately, it's not higher than a 10 because it is half the damage, or a 10, whichever's higher. You have to do real big damage to force.
22 minimum.
Yeah, to force.
Oh my gosh.
So with a natural 9 plus 4, he manages to hold his concentration. They.
And then
Sorry, go on. You've still
as
got movement and bonus.
As that alert's going, don't you dare speak that name. Let my friends go, and we will let you be.
They like froze as the pain like shocked through them, and they will like finish sort of pulling something out of the chest of this creature. And as they do, all of the threads now drop out of form. So if you imagine before they dropped unconscious but were lay still as a body, they now just like they all drop as if they're just like almost the 2D image of they give me a perception. They're going to try and conceal, and this everybody like because you are still within your mind about whether you want to watch what you're doing in the meantime. So if you want to give me a perception, if you think you're trying to see what he's doing, even if you just think maybe you're watching because you think you're trying to check if he's ready or done.
Yeah.
Nat 20 to 23.
Is that us as well, Liam?
Uh-huh. Because he hasn't told you not to watch. Ichi.
Sorry.
Perception.
So perception. They've finished rummaging. They've pulled something out of the chest, and all the threads have dropped like into 2D form.
13.
Okay, so Ichi, you notice the body drop, and there's definitely you can definitely work out that they disconnected something in the chest, and the body dropped. Lenny, yours is high enough to know that they've concealed something hand-sized. It's definitely by the time that you get a look at it, their fist is entirely enclosed around it. Volu, you see that they, for a second before they close their hand around it, there was a almost like a piece of, if you imagine more like the Jedi lightsaber crystals.
Fiber crystals.
Yeah, the kyber crystals, that sort of shape as it were, in between two metal brackets. And the crystal currently is like black with pink and purple dots swirling around it.
Are these like the pink and purple dots we spotted in the tower?
Similar, but not the exact same. And what you would know from that is it's definitely that same sort of thing of sort of trying to storing the energy and trying to you think that the crystal is one thing and the energy inside it will be stored energy that maybe is refilled or used in other ways or whatever. So you don't necessarily think this crystal will always have pink and purple dots. If you put fire energy into it, it might have red dots. But you would guess from that the crystal is some sort of energy storing. They will close their hand around it, and you would see almost like a shudder in their leg as they try to stand. I don't know why you're so upset. We were good friends once in a while ago, before all this trouble with Astera and the corruption. I knew her quite well. There was as there's this moment of silence, all of a sudden, one of the flames behind Ichi just lifts off the ground and almost just seems to be floating and sort of hovers there for a second before it turns round. And it's almost got a face, but almost in the negative space of the fire. It goes, Tenebris. And as it starts to say Tenebris, Tenebris waves their hand and we are with company. Address me properly. And they, yes, Duke. I have a message. They want an update. And as they sort of look around, they're eyeing you three very suspiciously. And to be very, very, this is a ball of flame with a face. that is just sort of like eyeing you over and looking at each of you. They will, Tenebrae sort of again looking at all of you, and especially Volu, motions with a hand, summoning the flame over as it floats through the air, and they put their hand entirely inside the flame. I've dealt with it for now, but the longer we wait, the more it is a problem. I will wait your next message. Now is not a good time. And then the flame goes, yes, very well, and disappears. Volu, with your just passive insight, there was definitely like a of course, master, yes, master. Like, you actually get the vibe, Volu, with your passive insight, that creature doesn't serve him, it's just lower in rank. And it's almost like that level of like, if his master were in the room, he could not be commanded about by this other guy. But because this is the highest ranking person in the room, he has to do what he says. So you get that vibe of like contention there, maybe. If that's not a servant, that is another person's servant.
Liam, did he said he was going to wait for their message? That was the last bit.
Wait for their next message. They will sort of like look back to you and say, I am almost done. I understand your resistance to the change, but understand, little Volu, that the skills that Tanabori taught to you were once taught to me. The visions, the purple, the pustules, that was once my own city, and Tanabori taught us how to remove them. Now, there are things going on far greater than all of you, far greater than this. And he sort of shrugs down at the body, Dante's body, and you get, Eleni and Ichi, give me insights, just because you're not trying to look and you're not looking for it. Volu, you can roll, but I actually think yours will pick this up anyway. There is, if you want more than what you would naturally pick up, feel free to roll.
11.
Are we doing insight?
Yeah.
I got the exact same. 16.
It's
Okay.
not rolling. Hang on a sec. All right. 15.
Okay, so all of you pick up the disgust. There's like a do you know the Agent Smith when he's talking to Morpheus about like you filth, you creatures, like there's a look of like that. With the higher rolls of 15 so for Eleni and Volu, that whole disgust is laced with I can't get out and I am better than you. Like there is frustration in being trapped in a form that is lesser, or at least thought of as lesser. It's not just that he finds mortals a disgusting small creature, it's that he's locked in one and been locked in one. There's very much
humiliation
and
contempt.
Yes, underneath all that. For this thing, but resist too much and too naively, and you might end up just tipping the scales against Astera. Now I am done. And sorry, I go on if you're gonna.
What do you know about how it's happening to Astera? You know about the purple. You know about how it ensnares and takes all. Do you know how to stop it?
We have ideas, but they don't pan out well for you.
Well for me, or well for we?
Yes, very much so. By the way, he has said, I am done now. Yeah. So Ichi and Eleni, while he is still standing and sort of entertaining Volu's questions, you would be released from the suggestion.
I would have stood back up, pulled a bow, and I am holding an arrow, knocked.
Ichi, as they kind of stand, I will use an action to channel divinity.
Okay.
And I am once again going to watch as will. So I can choose 3 creatures: Eleni, Volu, Dante. And those 3 and myself now all have advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws.
Okay.
That lasts for 1 minute, and each is going to shout out, Dante.
As Ichi's shouting that, am I able to hold out a hand and try and cast guidance to Dante?
You would have to step towards. There is space in between you right
there
now.
isn't there? Yeah.
As you call out and they just sort of smile, the flames start to die down and the sort of eye color returns to its natural brown. There are big things coming to such little mortals. And then they eyes roll into the back of the head and they pass out.
Ichi immediately kind of runs over and like cradles Dante.
You can tell they're extremely injured. In the bottom percentages of their health, and they're breathing, they're stable. As you sort of get hold of them, they are like almost, if you didn't know about Dante, you would think they had a fever.
Yeah.
They're like hot and sweating, and
Ichi kind of like puts a hand like over their forehead, obviously like initially kind of like feeling their temperature, and then I'm also going to put 15 points of lay on hands into Dante.
Eleni would wander over and say, I have some medical skills, but I also have potions if you need them.
Dante opens his eyes. Well, look around. He looks a little confused for a second. He left.
He did.
He did it once before as well. Showed me where we were, made me write the street down on a piece of paper.
I think I'd like to get out of here and maybe
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah. He would weakly get up. You would see that you're able to sort of help him to his feet. As you're sort of looking around at the environment, it's while there was all that patchwork and strips and stripes, and it almost had like a playroom feel to it, and it's almost just like the vibe is much darker and dimmer, and there's almost this creeping shadows where the light doesn't touch anymore, is becoming darker and darker. You would be able to move back down the corridor.
I do want to see if I can very quickly scan anything that might look useful on desks, or you said there was a desk and you said there was like a drawing table, and is there anything that I can just grab and take with us? Or
I mean, so it's I mean, it's up to you guys how long you spend. If you want to do a literal quick look, then perception. If you want to have a delve through to find, because so there's you at a glance you would see there's obviously the broken table, there's the bubbling cauldron, there's a chest in the corner.
I've got a
There is
17 passively in perception, if that's any use.
but it's less about whether we use passives or not. It's more about like if you are perceptioning, you can't get the things that are hidden, right? Like because they are hidden from sight. If you are investigating, that takes some time, but it's looking under stuff and digging through. It is up to you guys.
I don't want to get trapped in here. It doesn't look like it's unraveling.
It's not unraveling. It just all feels like less light. It was almost like energy was running through every via all the strings and threads seem to move. That it's now just lifeless and just.
Then I would probably investigate, not for long, but I would have a rummage.
Okay, drop me an investigation. Dante would probably say to Volu, if you want to help her, I will start the climb, and they will start climbing out. Obviously, if you remember, it's one person up the ladder at a time anyway.
He will be below Dante, like ready in case they need any help.
That was a
Okay.
15.
Okay, so you can definitely, so you pick out that there's the 3 tables. I'd say that the furthest on the right you would quickly eliminate unless you wanted to go digging for something specific. That's like nuts, bolts, bits of wood, screwdrivers, crafting stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
As opposed to like magic-y stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You look over at the chest and would easily with that roll pick out that it's locked, but it doesn't look trapped.
Is it big enough to carry?
For you up the ladder, yes, not not really for it's the same size as Volu.
Because don't I have a good carrying capacity?
Yeah, you do. This is it for a furbolg. You could manage it.
I'm just gonna bring it with me then. I'm not gonna.
The table in the top left definitely looks to be magical ingredients, but it is spilled everywhere. Like all the bag, it looks like someone was put through this table with all the bags open. You can see that there's bits of thread and string, and I'd say obviously because you'd spoke to Volu before, you think this is maybe where they were making the string.
Okay.
You know, the different spools of thread.
Is it possible? Is there any kind of? I mean, now I got like a handkerchief or something I could pick up some of the thread with and like wrap up so I'm not touching it.
Yes.
I'm thinking as a comparison for the,
It only was activated when it was crafted with, so it should be okay to.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Volu, are you staying to investigate as well, or are you gonna just follow up the ladder? But so have a thing. If you're staying to investigate, roll your investigation.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick around with Eleni because after everything I've heard, it's a bit.
So you would definitely be able to pick up a handful of threads. For your notes, you can add. They are purple ruby encrusted threads.
13, Liam.
Okay.
Okay.
So with the 13. So you're looking around as you're looking at the bubbling, boiling, that sort of stuff, you can't really tell what that is. It's definitely some sort of potion, and it wasn't being used in line with the threads. Actually, I'd say give me an Arcana, Volu, as you approach it. And finally, Eleni, as you look over the map stuff, it is a map of Vercel. And it has Cadfessi circled.
Okay.
Give me a history with proficiency if you don't currently have
it.
18, Liam.
Okay, so Volu, you think that this is like the mana receptacle? Do you know, like where you and the priest sort of thought that the string was connecting to you and drawing, almost forcing you to expel your magical energy? It looks like it's here in like raw form. Now, with that roll, you actually don't know how you would do anything with this. Will it deplete over time?
Put my hand in it?
Yeah, you put your hand in it, that your whole hand begins to tingle. Roll me a d100.
That hit with a 16, 13 plus 3 for the.
This actually sort of looks like somebody was given this to follow directions with, rather than You know what I mean? This doesn't look like they drew it themselves as, oh, well, we've traveled here, we've traveled here. It's almost like there's markings, like there's a little marking that says head to the tree, then go north. There's like almost instructions written on the map.
Yeah.
So you would figure that this was given to this group or whoever was here. The notes, maybe not interestingly, but more confirmingly, are all in Abyssal.
Okay.
Many of them are damaged, burning, covered in blood. But you managed to pick out two that look in the sort of format of letters.
Okay. I would take
Um,
them. I mean, I can't read them. I'm just gonna fold them up, shove them in my coat.
and if we're not looking in the chest, you're just scooping that
I'm
up.
taking it with me. Yeah.
Volu, what was the result of the D100?
63.
Okay, so as you pull your hand up, there is, so in the like gardens back in the Feywild, there was a certain kind of mushroom that Tanabori used to cultivate, and maybe it's the fight, maybe it's everything that's been going on. You're just sort of thinking about it, but out of the gloop that's stuck to your hand grows an entire pod full of those mushrooms.
Okay.
They're not growing out of you. They are like, if you imagine it, it's almost like you are holding sludge. Yeah, it's almost like you're holding sludgy earth. Give me a nature as you look over them.
Ooh, nature. Nat 20, so 25.
Nice. So you know with the Nat 20 that something is off about these. They are not, they look identical, but you sort of give them a look and a feel. There is something off about them, but you also, I'm going to say with the Nat 20, you would realize that it's something maybe innately magical or weird that way that you would need to do different kind of experimenting with if you wanted to figure out what they do. Or you could sludge them off your hand and leave them here. It's perfectly up to you. But just for a moment, there's like a little patch of your garden in the Feywild in your hand.
I'm gonna kind of like scoop them and then try and tuck them away and pop them in like a specific pocket or like a satchel in my cloak.
Okay, no worries. You managed to tuck them away, and you would then both begin to climb out. As you emerge, it is now like dark, and you think that if more time has passed, it's only very gradually, but it is now fully nighttime now. You can see the street, the lights and the lanterns and the magical lights on in the streets, and you are just stood on top of this residential building in the far east side of Cadfesi.
I would
I'd say Dante's probably sat down having a breather while you guys climb up.
I would look over to Dante and just say, "What do you remember?"
I went to stand outside like you asked, and then next thing I knew, I was in the square just down there, and he points over, and again, Ichi, when you picked up the tracks of somebody searching around, that was down in that square. He says, he had already fought something. There was blood on the. No, there was no blood on the sword, but there was blood around. We were following a trail. He said that demons are bad for everybody. And then I blacked out again. Next thing I knew, he sort of let me watch when you were midway through the fight.
Was there any warning, any sign that he was going to take over before he did?
None.
Did you hear about Tanabori?
I did, but that didn't make any sense to me. Who is that?
Is it someone you know, Volley?
I can tell you that their familiarity was true. They do know them. I can feel that much from them.
I almost wish I could speak to Tenebris to find out more.
Who is Tanabori?
She's the reason I'm here.
She's a friend of yours?
As you are talking, by the way, the threads are slowly sort of dissolving and threading themselves and sort of dissolving into a black ichor.
I didn't stumble back here. I came to help her. She found me when I was so young and scared and afraid. And she took me in without a second thought. She showed me how to survive. She taught me what I know. She is essentially my mother. And when she started to wither and hurt, and it's all to do with Astera. It all leads back to Astera. We've got to try and fix this. And somehow Tenebris knows a way to fix this.
When you say fix this, what do you mean?
You've seen it too, Eleni, right?
There is something very wrong with Astera.
Our world is hurting and fading and lashing out. And it's affecting everywhere, not just here.
But Tenebris said that his way of fixing it might not be something that we liked.
His way of fixing it probably is burning it all down.
Saving himself and killing everyone else.
Well,
You don't know that. You don't know that. You don't know that.
The thing about...
I would say, so, and Volu, sorry, as you're thinking back on it, there was, like, the point that you got the most emotion through from the cool, calm, and collected that was going on was one when he was talking about the disgusting, when he was referring to Dante. The other when they were talking about their own city being covered in the infection. That genuinely felt like a moment of guilt rather than like almost like that I couldn't protect them and we had to ask somebody else. Like when he was talking about Tenebori taught us how to, but there was guilt ridden within that. Sorry, Ichi.
The thing with the fire plane, which is where Tenebris comes from. Oh, yeah.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you. Fire is chaos. It is anger. It is destruction. But it's also life. Even if Tenebris may want to burn our world, to them, it may be so that he can reignite his home, maybe. Perhaps trying to give it a second chance. But
Dante was, regardless of his intentions, I don't care what he does for us, we're not trusting him.
No. Regardless of intent, that would destroy everyone on this place. not just in this city, on this world, if that is truly what he wants. Obviously, we don't know, but we can't afford to trust.
The only other time he was caught off guard was when that fire thing turned up. When it said his name, he was angry at that.
Yeah, what was that?
Well,
I don't know.
Ichi kind of like sits for a second, like squats down, gets out his pack, kind of flicks through a book. When dealing with creatures from other planes, they will typically take on nicknames or titles because that helps protect them.
He will nod and say Duke of the Brass City. That is, I have heard him use that before to other people when in the past.
Dante, are you telling me Tenebris is their name, not their title or nickname or something given that they chose to, like Tenebris is their name?
He will shrug. For as long as I have been conscious of them, that is what I have known them to be. Tenebris Solis.
Tenebris Solis. Okay. Ichi like writes that down immediately. Thing with the other planes, when crossing over and such, names have power. It's more commonly referred to with demons, devils, and fae. But what people don't understand is that it's important for everyone when you're interacting with the planes. The one constant is who you are. If people know who you are, they can control, manipulate. That some individuals can just kill you from knowing your name. If Tenebris is their actual name, that might be something we can use. That makes sense as to actually how you are bound.
This is all good, but in the meantime, we now know that he can take over at will, whenever he likes.
He will. He was tired at the end. Not like the other times that he's taken over.
He's still. I mean, it's a good thing he was killing fiends and not innocent people, but he still did quite a lot of damage before he grew tired and disappeared.
We need to find my order.
The other thing I will note for Ichi, as you're almost as you have that thought of like, oh, that makes sense of how you were bound in the first place. The form the creature you fought when you initially turned up was like a 7-foot hulking red fire, like a Afriti, right?
Yeah.
Even when bound, when he was first bound, he merged into a hybrid version of that. What you saw tonight was almost like the leaking. So I would say from Ichi's thought process there's definitely still some of the seal intact, and you're not seeing full-blown possession yet.
If the spell that my master used is working, which it looks like it is, I think there may be a level of use for you, Dante. He took control there, but the seal binds him to you. You might be able to use him. I know that you can set your sword on fire and such, but there may be a bit more. I'm not saying we dive headfirst into this. I definitely think we are going to go say hello to Sir Arthur. Gonna meet his companions because they may be able to give us a little bit more information about how we can deal with this in the long term. but it's definitely something that you need to think about, Dante, because this isn't just about you denying it. This is about you having to be stronger. If you can harness it, he can't harness you.
He nods.
Think of it like a tug of war. If he pulls hard enough and it goes into his corner, he has control of you. But if you keep it taut to your area,
He nods, but I would say that you sort of see that some of it is not fully sinking in this moment. They
we'll get
will
some rest.
maybe
We all need
maybe.
We'll get some rest, and
And
we'll discuss this again tomorrow.
Sorry.
We'll discuss this tomorrow.
Yeah, he
We'll
says
have some rest.
maybe we need to. Maybe we could do some research. I mean,
We'll
when
talk to Sir Arthur and such.
when is your friend in the city?
They said they should be back in like a day or two. Did they say?
So you want to remember it's the final day of the festival. So
final day. So the day of the Doom Hakra.
No, the
day
after.
After the Doom Hakra, next day they should be back, so we can bide our time.
In the
Rest.
meantime, maybe I bring cotton wool and buds, and I just plug my ears instead of leaving rooms. I don't know what else to suggest. A bell.
A bell's not going to be helpful if you're running away.
Maybe Eleni always sets an alarm if I'm being left alone.
I always do that anyway.
It's a good option.
Are we heading back to the Rusty Bucket tonight?
We probably should, yes.
The Rusty Bucket or the Bloody Banner?
Because you guys stayed at the Rusty Bucket with us.
Yeah, no, they would because you sort of moved in previous nights.
We did.
You've moved over to the Rusty Banner. You would be able to actually sort of hear the still faint echoes of people partying in the but it is all over in the Crucible. So at this distance, it's just faint echoes on the night sky. But you would be able to slowly start making your way back towards the Rusty Bucket.
I would also sort of say, I do have a chest. It's locked. I've got no idea what's in it. Maybe we could have a look at this when we get back.
That sounds like a good plan.
Maybe.
Okay. You make your way through the quiet streets. Everything seems fairly calm and quiet. Eventually making your way back to the Rusty Bucket. As you enter, Volu, you're almost immediately scooped up, and after the day's events might think you're being attacked. But it is actually Dana who like lifts you up off the ground and is like, "You're not injured, are you? Are you okay?" Like the crowd swept us away. You know, I'd have had him if I'd have got anywhere close to him. He's only
damn Dana strong. I know I'm little, but
yeah, she's just like looking you over.
Dana's a badass.
and the rest of you didn't get caught up in all that nonsense. I tried to find you afterwards, but the guard said you'd moved away or headed up to the back bastion or something. Come on in, I'll get you some food. And like,
thanks for checking on me, Dana. Yeah, it was all a bit much, and we had to kind of get away to try and figure out what was going on. And yeah, it was an interesting time, but we're all good now. Yeah, food would be great.
They go through and start putting together some bowls and getting some drinks. You can either sit down here or obviously have it taken up to rooms.
Is Alara on the bar?
Yes. Sorry, not yeah.
Yeah, I'll just head over to Alara and go. So I don't know if you saw my weaving before the whole debacle, but what did you think?
Well, before everything went on, it looked like it was coming together nicely. I saw if I was a bit further back, it looked like maybe a dragon and some sort of knight fighting it, maybe. But yeah, like everything got a little crazy after Gertrude collapsed. I've heard she's okay though.
As she said knight, I'll look over to Dante and do a wry smile. I'll then turn back and go, Gertrude is. She was seen, and she's fine. Did you get caught in the scuffle? Are you hurt?
No. We were. I bumped into Dana and we were chatting, but obviously as everyone started running and screaming and panicking, the idiots, so we all just sort of got swept away in the chaos. And good job those knights and that Sir Volkov. He's a real nice fella. That one. He comes round and checks on all the areas. Very
No.
helpful.
Yeah, he's fine. He's fine. But yeah, it was the weavers were the true like stars of the
Of course, of course.
what weren't they? Yes. So, thank you for coming. It does mean a lot.
They of course, and they will put out some food, and they will say, "Don't worry, Dana, this one's on the house," and they will give you your bowls and a drink. And yeah, then it is sort of Dana will say, well, it is late. I've just been sort of waiting to see you guys, but I will see you tomorrow, maybe. I will be going down to watch. Definitely on the arts day. I want to see. There is an out of town bard I want to see. They're apparently called Jaxie. Have you heard of them?
We saw her. We saw her today, this morning.
No, not that cheap copy up in the battered brew. That Kenku has stolen all of her songs. No, Jaxie is a gold dragonborn from up in the mountains on the far in the Ukfon Mountains in the far east side of Versa.
Really?
Yes, I mean,
I would be interested in seeing that.
some of her earlier work is an acquired taste, but once they have traveled a bit and she started doing some other kinds of music, I've heard that the Dragonborn mountain music, it is almost like a Dragonborn throat singing. It is not particularly for my taste. I came into listening a bit later in her travels.
That would be lovely, Dana. I might want to talk to you about. I might want to buy some things from you as well, perhaps.
Yes, of course. Have a good night, and I will see you on the morrow. And they head out. Elara will give you your food and your drink, but they are here and sort of around, but they are working. And it would be up to you if you want to. And Elena, you are just sort of stood with this chest under your under one
To be
arm.
honest, I'd probably put it like between my feet as I sat down.
Mhm.
I would probably have it like between my ankles so I can feel it. Because I've got my big duster on. So no, I would allow Volu to eat. I think he needs to, and Dante probably needs to.
Yeah, they start digging in straight away.
Yeah. Ichi, do you think we're going to make it through this race? Sort of. There's a lot happening.
I think we'll make it through the race. I don't know if we're coming first, but we'll certainly cross the finish line because Anichi just kind of like sits back and watches Dante and Volu like the animals that they are. If there's one thing I know about this group of individuals, it's that we're nothing but determined.
That's very true. You any idea how to pick a lock?
No.
Me neither.
Well, we could always just break it open. Throw it hard enough, the wood will shatter.
That's true.
Who needs to be small and dainty and dexterous when you can just break it?
And just as she's passing, Alara's like, if you're breaking stuff, it's outside.
Oh, no, yeah, sorry. Yep, will do.
And with that, as you finish your meals, that is where we will leave the second part of this week's session. Thank you very much for joining us. As always, thank you very much for playing. If you're enjoying the adventure and you want to be a part of all the goings and comings, Go to our Facebook, Twitter, all those fun things at 1in20ttg. If you want to know when the videos are coming out, hit the like and subscribe and the notification bell. And as always, roll well. Bye.